And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, and kindred, and tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven, and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. And I looked, and behold a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs.
It's extremely difficult to root for God in this story because he doesn't come back and attempt to save everyone. He doesn't come back and redeem his creation. He comes back to destroy it. He comes back to reap, and he casts most human beings into the fire. Those Christians who are optimistic, who believe that it's all just a relationship with Jesus, it's all just God trying to save every human being on the planet, and having a plan for every human being on the planet. That's not really congruous with the scripture, to say the least. No, according to the Bible, for at least the last 2,000 years, God has known that he is going to basically torture most human beings forever. So really God's plan for most people is that they go to hell. In Revelation chapter 14, we have one of the descriptions of hell. Flames ascend from hell. There's smoke from the torment, goes up forever and ever. And of course that the angels, and perhaps even the people in heaven, get to watch as the wicked are tortured. This is actually a common theme that has been abandoned only recently, as the secular world slowly tamed Christianity and brought us a gentler, milder form of it. This idea that the saints in heaven would be able to look down and watch the wicked being tortured. It lost its popularity. This is another biblical story where it's almost impossible to root for God because he's doing something so horrific. Not only are all these people being damned and thrown into fiery torment, but blood is actually running in the streets at the end of the chapter. The whole imagery of the winepress crushing people in the streets until they run red with blood. Millions of children, at the bare minimum, millions, are being taught that this is literal truth. There is no mercy for those that go to hell. And that's why hell is purposeless. If you can for a moment imagine an eternal punishment, an eternal torture, even eternal imprisonment, without end, what can be gained? None of the people in hell are going to be redeemed. It is only the vengeance of an angry God. Ask yourself, what harm is done to God by the sins of man? What harm at all can come to an infinite being, all-powerful, all-knowing? What possible harm can be done? Perhaps a temporary emotional harm. We've hurt God's feelings. We can't permanently damage his emotional well-being either. In fact, the permanence of God's power and his life and his knowledge is one of the reasons why it doesn't make any sense to say that God sacrificed anything when Jesus died on the cross, to say that Jesus gave anything up. But that's a topic for another video. The point of the matter is, there can be no purpose for eternal punishment for its own sake. God isn't teaching them a lesson, or rehabilitating them, or doing anything noble or good.
Just another horror story. Some more good old-fashioned nightmare fuel from the good book.